Podcast City Network.
This is Final Score, your number one podcast for sports news. Here are your hosts, Chris and Craig.
Hey everyone, this is Craig Campbell with Final Score on Podcast City Network. Thank you so much for joining me. And we have an exciting special episode again. This is an NHL season preview for the 2021 season. That's right around the corner. Training camp has just started. We are excited. And before we get to our guests, I do want to take some time, take care of a little bit of housekeeping, and talk about our parent network, Podcast City Network. Final Score is a proud member of Podcast City Network. PCN has 19 independent podcast members across all genres of podcasting. You can find more about PCN on all major social media platforms, facebook.com/Podcast City Network, Twitter @Podcast City Net. You can search on YouTube, just search keywords Podcast City Network, and of course the website podcastcity.net, and you can find Final Score there as well, podcastcity.net/Final Score. For all the latest in social media from Final Score, including this interview, be sure to like us on Facebook, give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube. And finally, you can listen to all of the audio versions of our podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbean, and Google Podcasts. Just search keyword Final Score, one word. And with that, I'm going to bring in our guest, very good friend of the show, and our resident hockey nut, Jorge DeMoya of Not a Hockey Market podcast here on Podcast City Network. George, welcome to the show.
What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for having me, dude. I'm thrilled to be, once again, a proud member of Podcast City Network with now launching the Not a Hockey Market podcast. Now, if you sit there and you say, I've heard that phrase before, what the hell does that mean? It means exactly what you think it is. We are out to disprove that there are certain areas that are quote unquote not a hockey market. I know you got your Detroit Red Wings shit in the background. You think you're hockey town.
One of them though.
You got one of them though. You got one of them. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I love all the hockey towns that are out there, but we're out to disprove that false statement that there are areas out there that are not hockey markets, man. Hockey is for everyone. And you have a knowledgeable hockey market all the way down in South Florida, an hour from frickin' Sunrise. So trust me, we are out there in spades. The Not a Hockey Market podcast has just launched. You can find the videos on Facebook and on YouTube at 90 Miles Media. And you just type in keyword search 90 Miles Media, subscribe to that YouTube channel, and follow us on Facebook. And you can also find us on the Podcast City Network.
Yeah, and this is a lot of fun for us because, with our growing network of shows, this is now the third sports-based podcast that we have. So we're really excited to have you as part of the network and, of course, part of the PCN sports family. It's been a lot of fun. They've got so far you've had a couple episodes, and what you've been previewing is the upcoming NHL season. So we're going week by week and breaking down each division. So we had a little bit of realignment, if you're not familiar with the upcoming NHL season. They're doing a little realignment because of traveling and, of course, Canada not being comfortable with allowing players to leave the country regularly and coming back. So we've got a lot of changes coming up for this year, and checking out Not a Hockey Market podcast is going to cover a lot of NHL news, cover a lot of stuff, especially hyper-focused, like you said, on those areas that are not considered hockey markets, like a anywhere in Florida.
Anywhere in Florida, or travel out to the desert, from the West Coast to the East Coast, and anywhere in between. Definitely going to hyper focus on that. We talk everything NHL. We've talked a bit about World Juniors that have been going on right now. USA looking very nice. If anybody is interested, check out my boy Spencer Knight with back-to-back shutouts. He's a Florida Panthers prospect. Just, little plug there. And yeah, definitely want to hyper focus on anything NHL and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thrilled to be a part of it. Be sure to check out Not a Hockey Market podcast. We will go into major detail with all the different teams as we break down each division. The North Division we did recently cover, and we broke down each team individually. Right now, we want to make sure we give you everything here for the Final Score fans. So I'm going to do my absolute best to give you like the main 3 things to watch from each division and talk a little bit about everything. The first thing is COVID versus the 2020-21 season, right?
Yeah. So with that coming up, we saw what happened last year, and they did a couple of bubble cities, all in Canada, and took care of that. And we ended up crowning a champion in the bubble. But now this year we're taking a little bit different approach. Like we said, our country is opening a little bit back up. They're allowing certain states that have allowed fans the opportunity if they want to do so. So with COVID kind of still, new strains are coming out, but with them kind of rearing its ugly head to affect this season as well, how do you think the NHL is going to face COVID? And do you think they're going to, how do you think it's going to play out this year?
Well, this year, I think it's going to play out seamlessly, because you know what they did? You know how hard it is for the NHL and owners to do a full realignment like this? They created regional bubbles. They went with the original bubble, and now they created regional bubbles. And not only are those regional bubbles tight for 115 days of a 56-game season, all those regional bubbles are going to be the 8 to 7 teams playing only against each other, right? There's no, hey, we got to do our Western trip, right? We got to do our Western Canadian trip where we go and play Vancouver and we play Winnipeg and Edmonton and Calgary during a week. That's not going to be happening. They did a very smart decision, and it really is because of Canada. That's what it came down to. Because Canada put those kinds of travel restrictions on, there was no other choice but for the NHL to kind of get on board and say, all right, I guess we now have officially a North team. Congratulations to the Toronto Raptors, aka Tampa Raptors, because now their hashtag We the North is going to be trending in the NHL, because now it's a complete North division. You'll have your own Canadian champion, basically. No cup since '93, but you'll have a division champion at least.
And like you said, we're talking about putting these different divisions together. That's absolutely difficult, but I think it's necessary to an extent. And just, I know we're talking about a different playoff format, and we'll get to that in a second, but do you think that this is an alignment that the NHL is testing? I know they're going back to their old alignment next year, assuming everything goes back to normal, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. Do you think they might readdress doing this alignment permanently down the road?
I think they will, because there is something that we love to talk about, and that is the Canada effect, right?
Absolutely.
The Canada effect is huge. This is Canada's game. You have the snowbirds that are all coming down, and they live in Florida, and they're huge Hab fans and Leaf fans. I wear a freaking St. John's Huberdeau jersey, and I get approached in French Canadian all the time. And it's just like, yeah, nope, sorry, don't speak a lick of it. But, I could talk some Spanish to you if you want. You want a croqueta? And they're like, what? How is that even possible? That's just proof that we know our shit down here, okay?
Yeah.
But it is going to be possible, because when you go into the playoff format, you're going to have now 4 teams for sure in the playoffs from Canada. And there have been times when the NHL and the NHL needs that TSN ratings. It helps, man. Toronto is the worst market to play in. You know, Godspeed, Austin Matthews, and those young boys over there.
Yeah.
It's the worst market to play in because it's so populated and so heavy and so covered
Yeah.
that it's a lot of pressure.
Yep.
It's a lot of pressure. It's like playing for the Lakers. You know, there's a lot of pressure in that situation. But having that Canadian presence for ratings and for the playoffs, it's always good for the game of hockey, for sure. They will revisit it. Seattle is going to be a wrench in it, though.
Yep.
So they might split it up, but I wouldn't be surprised that they look at this as, you know, they're not going to automatically just say, hey, this is what we're going to go with. Everything is based off of safety first. Safety and, you know, COVID regulations and the schedule. The schedule is a baseball schedule, man.
Yeah.
You play one team 3 times in a week.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, especially when you're talking about some of those natural rivalries that, so for instance, like Detroit and Chicago haven't been in the same division in a number of years, and now they're going to be playing each other multiple times. Now, this generation of players might not remember when that rivalry was so heated, but I mean, a big one.
But the fans will. The
fans
will,
will absolutely.
Right.
One really that I'm looking forward to, and this is kind of going into our first division that we're going to talk about, is that North Division. And
Okay.
I'm just excited to see that Edmonton, Calgary, a couple times for a week.
10
times.
10.
Seeing that rivalry happen 10 times in a season.
That's a thing of beauty right there.
Yeah,
Okay. So great.
You know that had to play into why they planned this the way they did, because you have some of those rivalries. I mean, Toronto and any other Canadian team. I mean, because like you said, they're like the Lakers of Canada. Like, that's the team everyone's going to want to beat. So it's exciting.
It's very exciting. And going into that North Division that we did cover intensively. So just going to give you some highlights here already. The playoff format, the way it's going to work is that the top 4 teams from each division will move on. And in the first round, you'll have your 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, and whittle it down to 1 division winner, right? Okay, so you throw in the playoffs, you throw in the fact that Edmonton and Calgary, the Battle of Alberta, is being played 10 fucking times with the new, like, pest of the NHL, Matthew Tkachuk, gets to go up against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl 10 fucking times. I am so stoked for that. That is something that everyone's going to be glued to. I'm watching both of those teams intensely. The Edmonton Oilers have the best duo in the NHL, McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. I talk about a little bit in more depth, but Leon is that force of that team. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. It's all about McDavid. Leon is the one that hit 100+ points last season. He's the two-way guy. He's the one that contributes on both ends of the ice the most. McDavid is an elite level player, and he's kind of that X factor. Goaltending will depend on whether or not they make a run or not when it comes down to it. But they got to go up against a guy like Tkachuk, who has 61 points last year and 74 penalty minutes. All right.
Yeah, that's
in 70 games.
Yeah, that's some time spent.
That's some time. Okay, he spent that much time, but he still chipped in 61 fucking points. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's the most annoying thing, to have a guy in the box for 15 minutes a game, but then he still scores 2 goals on you.
Yeah. That's a special kind of player right there.
That's a special kind of player. Those are 2 teams that I definitely am going to be watching. Everyone's going to be talking about the Leafs. Frederik Andersen is going to have himself another Vezina Trophy season. Matthews could easily run away with the goal title this year. He had 47 last year. I expect him to do something similar. I like what they did on defense. They moved away from Tyson Barrie, a puck-moving defenseman, And they brought in TJ Brody. He's more of a two-way guy, but he can move the puck. So I do like what they did. I'm sold on the Vancouver Canucks, man. I like the Canucks to come out and win this particular division because I feel like, why would the Leafs actually come out of it? They haven't been able to do so in so long. Do you think that COVID's going to all of a sudden help them? Like this new season and being put in the North Division where there's a few weaker teams? They don't have to face the Bruins. Congratulations to them. They don't have to face the Bruins. They don't have to face the Islanders and that Barry Trotz system that swallows every offense whole. They don't have to face a lot of big teams, and then they're going to underestimate the Vancouver Canucks.
So the Vancouver Canucks coming out of the North Division. That's a very early season bold prediction, my friend.
It is. It's a very early. That's my boldest prediction out of these, to be honest. And it really comes down to the 56 game schedule. Brock Besser, one of the best young snipers in the league, despite his injuries, he's about a 60 game guy anyways. He'll miss 20. So now his season's cut to 56. He only has to play 56 games. He's set. Him and Pedersen on that power play unit with the addition of Hughes and Schmidt. Schmidt came over from Vegas. They are going to fly around. And Thatcher Demko, best new goalie in the league. He is going to turn some heads. And, I don't know. They just brought in one of the most wins from the Capitals, a guy named Braden Holtby. Hello? To back up one of the best rookie young goalies in the league. Yeah. I mean, that duo is going to be absolutely disgusting. They're going to surprise the Leafs and beat them in the playoffs. But that's my prediction there for the North.
Yeah, that's it's so the one positive thing out of this for the NHL is that out of each of these divisions, you're guaranteed to have one Canadian team in the Final Four.
Yes.
And that's really what NHL is kind of doing with this realignment. Yeah, it did for COVID, but like you said, it's a very powerful market, just Canada in general, for the NHL. So to have some representation from Canada in the Final Four is going to be huge.
Absolutely. And once you get to that Final Four, honestly, whoever has the momentum, I mean, if Thatcher Demko and Braden Holtby are hot and their goals against is a 1.89 together as a tandem, how the hell do you stop that in the playoffs?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Let's move on to the Central Division. So this one is going to be a very interesting division because you've got this is where the shift really came into play. Like we said, this is where Detroit and Chicago are in here. You've got Dallas, Nashville, the Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay, Carolina, Columbus, and I'm missing one.
Wait,
nope,
yeah,
that was it.
So that was it.
So out of this division, what are some teams that you're looking for, and who do you think wins this division?
Well, you already have the Tampa Bay Lightning. They come out of this division. Bottom line, Stanley Cup champs. They're defending the title. They made one of the best signings that you could ever think of. Miguel Sergachev is a number one defenseman, and he should be getting Carlson, Brent Burns kind of dollars, $8 to $9 million a year. They signed this kid for $4 million a year to stay within the cap for 3+ years.
That's wild.
Okay, and then you add Hedman, then you add McDonough. Yes, Kucherov is out for the season, right? That's a huge, huge blow for the Tampa Bay Lightning. But Steven Stamkos is coming back. And Braden Point is jumping up to another level. So you already have a lot of changeover happening and a youth movement coming through with the stars that the Tampa Bay Lightning already have. So I have them winning this division, unfortunately. It sucks to say, but what do you want me to tell you? But there are a couple teams to definitely watch for. And there are some teams that could surprise you. If Sergei Bobrovsky can go back to how he played in Columbus and get hot, he's one of the most unstoppable goalies in the league. And a hot goalie can just ride you through. Mm-hmm. The Columbus Blue Jackets, nobody likes to play against these guys.
Yeah,
Torts' system Torts' system sucks major, balls. It's just, I'm sorry, we're on a hockey show. The cursing's going to happen.
Right.
It's awful. It is a system you don't want to play against. You have Zach Werenski and Seth Jones is one of the best D pairs in the NHL. They went out and got a little bit of a pest in Max Domi to be the 1-2 punch down the middle with one of the better up-and-coming centers in Pierre-Luc Dubois. And they re-signed him. And you add in good forwards like Foligno. You add in Atkinson and Bjorkstrand, who can put the puck in the net. They come at you in waves, kind of similar to Vegas. All fucking 4 lines just keep coming at you. And then you got to worry about Seth Jones creeping in and Zach Werenski creeping in to, for a one-timer in the high slot. That is definitely one of those teams to watch for. Them and the Carolina Hurricanes, they didn't do much of anything.
Yeah.
And they went deep in the playoffs last year. And they didn't tweak anything. They just let it ride with Sebastian Aho, 38 goals last year. I expect him to do the same in a shortened season. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a top 5 goal scorer by the end of the year for this year. It helps that this is the weaker division, right? Unfortunately, you got, Chicago, Detroit rebuilding. Chicago's dealt with some bad injuries. The NHL community, their hearts go out to Jonathan Toews. I mean, having to deal with a kind of like a heart condition or something along those lines that he's not even sure of.
Yeah. That's tough.
That's tough, and that's a dude that's given his whole life to hockey, and he's a true professional, true competitor, hell of a hockey player. We hope to have him back in the NHL, period.
Yeah.
But,
you always hate to see players like that. He's been so talented. And like you said, he's been the ultimate professional throughout his career. So we wish the best for him and his recovery and figuring out what's going on. And hopefully he can get back to the NHL.
Yeah, definitely. And, so you have Red Wings and Blackhawks that are still on the rebuild. They have some nice pieces there that we'll get to see. But, right now they're just saying, all right, out of our young core, who's going to show me that they want to stay on the roster next year for a full season? Like, here's your 56 game sprint. Go. Like, let's see what you got. Stars and Preds, they're going to be battling with Florida for that final 4th spot. It could be any one of them.
Yeah, Preds took a big step back last year, even before we shut down. That was based on their previous success, that was a dark horse pick for some of us on Final Score, and they just completely went in the opposite direction. So, were you like Adam Schefter? You blowing up over there?
I'm blowing up over here, man. I got insider information coming in from my abuelita. She's gonna tell us all kinds of insider info and stuff,
Well, let's move on to the East Division here, and this is a really stacked division in my opinion. This is the division you're looking at: the Capitals, Penguins, Bruins, both New York teams, the Flyers, Sabres, and the Devils. So there's a lot of movement that's happened in this division just as far as offseason and free agency and trades. But out of this division, what are some teams you're looking out for, and who wins this division?
Well, let's first off start by we are sorry to the Buffalo Sabres because this realignment for them, geez, man, talk about just a kick to the nuts.
Yeah.
And Jack Eichel's, he's already pissed. He's already been saying, I'm sick of losing. They go out and they sign Taylor Hall, a very dynamic winger that would just take Eichel to another level. And then they get thrown into the hardest division in the NHL with Washington, with Pittsburgh, with the Bruins. And then you have the Rangers are on the rise. The Isles are impossible to play against, especially in a short season. Teams I definitely want to say, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Do not sleep on them. I've been watching and I've been reading and, I've been doing my hockey research. Everybody is saying that the Penguins are going to miss the playoffs. Crosby can hear you if you speak too loud. All right. You started talking about how Connor McDavid was the next Crosby. And, what did he do before that? Oh, I don't know, win a cup. I mean, don't piss him off, man. Don't piss him off.
He might cry too hard.
He might cry too hard to the point where the next thing you know, he's coming out of this division as the freaking winner. It doesn't help that, the Bruins are dealing with some injuries, but they're still going to be at the top. They get Marchand back at training camp. They get Pastrnak back in February early enough. Whereas in Dallas, which we mentioned earlier, Sagan and Bishop out for months.
Yeah.
That's too big of a blow. I mean, how do you not love, though, the Washington Capitals in this division with what they've done?
Yeah, that's one thing I want to touch on very quickly is that one big move that happened is Zdeno Chara moved from Boston to Washington. Chara's been in Boston for a very long time, been an anchor for the defensemen. Now he moves on to Washington. Do you think that's going to be a big change? I know he's getting up there in age, but do you think that's going to be a big kind of catalyst for either of these teams kind of going in opposite directions?
Not so much. It was really Boston's decision. They knew that they had to move on from Chara cap-wise. They had to move on from Chara to allow for McAvoy to come in and be their number one defenseman. And they had to do it. They had to do it cap-wise, right? They knew they couldn't hold on to him. Now, Chara, he went towards the situation that he saw he would get a significant playing time and he would be a definite role player, not so much of a role player, but he would have a role. And the Capitals needed somebody to anchor the defense, let John Carlson be John Carlson and put up 45 points in 50-something games as a defenseman. Mm-hmm. He is my candidate to be Norris Trophy winner this year. He's going to be unbelievable. And you just add in Ovi and Oshie and Backstrom and Tom Wilson and Kuznetsov, Jacob Verana. Their top 6, almost top 9 is deep. You add in a Russian goalie in Samsonov back there who has been under the tutelage of Braden Holtby for some time. Now it's his time to take the reins. The last time a goalie did that, it was Ben Bishop to Andrei Vasilevsky. Mm-hmm. And you saw the fucking season that he's had. It's almost an identical situation there. I mean, to the point, to even that it's, Canadian to Russian swing. So, I mean, he's going to be absolutely disgusting. And their defense is going to be able to shut down guys and help that young goaltender, especially with Chara back there now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're definitely my pick to come out of the East is the Washington Capitals.
Now that last playoff spot there, we've got a couple people in there. You got the 2 New York teams in Philadelphia. We saw this season that the Flyers had last year. Of those 3 teams, which one do you think is going to make the playoffs?
Of those 3 teams, unfortunately, I am going to go with the New York Islanders. And what it comes down to is that damn Barry Trotz system. Coaching is going to play a huge part in this year because you're talking about 56 games in 115 days. Mm-hmm. And when you have to play against a team that swallows you whole in the neutral zone 3 times in 4 days, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get pissed off. You're not going to like it. Yes, the Islanders lost Thomas Greiss in free agency, but they bring in a really, really good prospect and a backup goalie in Sorokin. Sorry, can't pronounce some Russian names here and there. And then their defense is still just as good. They bring back Barzal, which they were wondering if they could even sign him cap-wise, but they do bring in one of the most dynamic players in the game. On top of their forward depth that is still deep, and they just come at you in waves again. That 4th line comes at you in waves. I do like the Rangers to sneak in maybe, I mean, come on. Breadman. I love this guy. I wish he came to Florida. I love his attitude. I love his high kick. 95 points last year. Him and Mika Zibanejad, they were only behind McDavid and Draisaitl, and who? Oh, they were behind Marchand and Pastrnak for top duos in the NHL in points. And then you just throw in, I don't know, the number 1 overall pick out of nowhere to that system. So the Rangers could definitely be a surprise. I'm sorry to our Final Score co-host and Flyers faithful. Your D's just too young, brother. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, he's probably gonna text me later and be like, "What the hell? No love for the Flyers." And you're just a little too young right now on the back end on a short season. One mistake can cost you.
Yeah, especially in that division being as stacked as it is. Let's move on and talk about the West Division. This one, again, there's a lot of intrigue here about what teams could make the playoffs, and you've got a few past teams that have made deep runs in the playoffs in this division. Who do you think makes the playoffs, and who ultimately wins it?
Ultimately, this division is a 3-horse race. Whoever gets 4th, thank you for coming. Thanks for playing. You play against Colorado in the first round. Goodbye. All right. This division is where I see the Stanley Cup winner coming out of. Because at the top, you got the Colorado Avalanche, you got the Vegas Golden Knights, and you got the St. Louis Blues. All right. St. Louis Blues, they lose their captain, Alex Pietrangelo, to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So he just moves on. So what do? They sign Torrey Krug and bring him in. like no big deal. They come in, they sign Torrey Krug. Tarasenko, shoulder surgery. Oh, I don't know. Let's find this guy on a PTO that had a 30-goal season. Does that fucking exist? No, of course it doesn't exist. It only exists because it's like this crazy COVID year still.
Yep.
So they go and they sign Mike Hoffman to a PTO, and he's going to bank in 25 goals on the power play next season for St. Louis on a deep team already. It really is either one of those 3 teams is race. Goaltending in droves. The Vegas Golden Knights, their system of the 4 lines that coming at you over and over and over again. I don't want to be a defenseman having to see freaking, Reno coming at me 3 times in a week. And he's just going to continue to bully me, man. Are you kidding me? As a defenseman, I don't want to see that shit. Freaking Reeves coming down the wing and just bodying me 3 times a week. No, thank you. So I like the Vegas Golden Knights in this division. Let's talk about them real quick. You have Fleury and net. You have a top 6 that is one of the best top 6s in the league. Cody Glass is a new young prospect that he's going to come up, and he's going to get to play with Max Pacioretty and Stone, 2 of the best power forwards in the game. Oh, that's just going to make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside as a young kid. I get to be like, all I have to do is not screw up, and these guys will make me look awesome. Carlson, Marchie, and Smith, another top line in net or up front for the Vegas Golden Knights. They come at you in waves. The Blues have one of the best 2-way centers in the game in Ryan O'Reilly.
Mm-hmm.
Face-offs, possession time, defenseman. Having one of those guys on your squad is going to be huge this season because it's going to be those little details. Who's leading in face-offs towards the end of the season that can win a few back, give you a couple extra chances, you get a couple extra points, you're in the top 4. That's what it's going to take. So the Blues look really good, but then the Avalanche are my cup favorites.
So they're your favorites to come out of this division and for the cup.
Out of this division and to win the cup, you're looking at the best line in hockey with Mikko Rantanen, Nathan McKinnon, and Landeskog. It's a perfect chemistry. And then you highlight on top of that, on the back end, Samuel Girard and Cale Makar are so dynamic on the back end. I mean, I don't know how many more times these guys are going to catch a puck on the blue line on their backhand and do a fucking spinorama move at the blue line and shoot and score before forwards realize that's exactly what they're going to fucking do. You know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to get a bad pass from a forward, you know, trying to play it back to the point, and they're going to spin you into submission. Like, just don't attack right away. Like, give them a little bit of space so you can, you know, intercept it or something. But they easily have one of the best duos. And then they went out and got Brandon Saad to anchor one of the top six. Brandon Saad is a steady forward that will play both ends of the ice, and he has the potential to chip in 20 and 20, you know, as a top six. So I really do like the Colorado Avalanche. Their goaltending hasn't changed, and it's going to be a very tough 1-2 punch.
Yeah, this team for, you know, you could see the glimpses a few years ago, and you knew this team was going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NHL, and now it's coming to light. So that's definitely going to be a very interesting division now to watch, with those top three teams and then whoever makes the fourth spot. But kind of wrapping things up a little bit here, we'll give you a little bit of a brief overview, but for complete breakdowns of each and every division, George and JDM is going to be bringing you every week, you know, couple different divisions leading up to the start of the season, which is January 13th. Yep. Really excited for that. So check that out. It's going to be at Not a Hockey Market Podcast, and a little bit of info where to find that. Again, you can find it on Facebook and on YouTube. You can just search on YouTube 90 Miles Media to find the Not a Hockey Market Podcasts, and also on Facebook. You can find it at 90 Miles Media, Facebook and Instagram. And you can find Couch Dads Podcast on Twitter. That is JDM's account there, and you can get some NHL news. You can hear some chirps from him. It's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, you can definitely get some dad chirps in there for me as well. You can hear some hockey chirps and all that kind of fun stuff. 90 Miles Media is proud to present Not a Hockey Market Podcast along with a bunch of other content. So be sure to follow, subscribe, and also we are a proud member of Podcast City Network. So you could also find the Not a Hockey Market Podcast on their channels as well, with links, and we'll be collaborating and continuing to bring you more hockey content, because you know what? South Miami has hockey content. All right. I'm telling you that right now. We are a hockey market. You just got to find us. We're just, you know,
just gotta find you down there.
Yeah. You just got to find us down there. If you see a guy walking around with a Florida Panthers jersey in South Florida, chances are that is me.
Well, now you know how to find him. You can see his jersey right there. You find, if you're in South Florida, you find a guy with his soul pad, or his big chin strap here.
Strap. It's connected to the mic. It's nice continuity that's going on right there with the chin strap and the mic. But yeah, definitely just remember to look for the GOAT behind it. And you know who the GOAT is, man. You know, it's Yager.
That doesn't look like a Gordie Howe jersey, my friend.
That's what he's going to do. See, that's what happens when you bring a Detroit fan into a Not a Hockey Market podcast.
Well,
go-to
George,
is Gordie Howe.
Yep, that's the go-to. That's the go-to.
It's the go-to.
Hockey himself.
It's the go-to.
Well, George, thank you so much for joining us, and we're really excited for the NHL season, again, starting on January 13th. And again, you can look forward to finding this interview on YouTube. You just search Final Score, keyword Final Score, one word, and you can find it there. George, thanks again so much for joining us. Looking forward to hockey getting started on the 13th. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Podcast City Network.